A dramatic late recovery pairs most of the losses on Dalal Street Nifty ends with marginal losses after falling below the 8,000 mark. However, the markets have closed in the red for the sixth straight day.
A tepid Dalal Street debut for coffee day. The stock plunges over 17% as brokerages raise concerns over bottom line in the near term.
Core sector grows for the third straight month, but largely thanks to the base effect. Manufacturing PMI plunges to a 22-month low. Auto sales continue to throw up a mixed bag.
We told you first, and it's now official. Anil Ambani's Reliance Communications signs a deal to acquire Systema Sham's Indian business under the MTS brand in an all-stock deal. Relian will now be the fourth largest operator in India.
Moody's upgrades its outlook on India's banks from negative to stable, says operating environment and asset quality is improving, but remains cautious on the health of public sector banks.
Warning bells for the BJP ahead of the Bihar results. Party gets routed in the Prime Minister's constituency, loses 50 of the 58 seats in Varanasi civic polls. Shiv Sena pips BJP in Kalyan Dombivali civic polls in Mumbai.
We think that the focus on Make in India has really captured imaginations of defense companies, especially ours, to do more here.
India is the most exciting market for Boeing outside the United States, says country head Pratyush Kumar, also open for potential joint ventures. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
The government readies a roadmap to deal with tax litigations. Revenue Secretary says the centre is open to settle Vodafone and Kane Energy cases out of court.
Taxi aggregators oppose the Maharashtra government's draft city taxi scheme. The state is proposing to impose a cap on the number of cabs that can be registered. Well, be it Rahul, Raj, Kabir or Om's irresistible charm enthralls us every time he plays a character on screen. The man with billions and of the billions, Shah Rukh Khan, over the years has successfully managed to emerge as not one of India's most loved superstars, but also a maverick businessman and one of the world's richest actors, Nentaro.
That's right, Shireen. You know, in fact, his moves have taught us that bade deshon mein aisi choti baatein
Oh, well done, Nentaro.
I think that even Barack Obama attempted to say right here at the Capitol when he was visiting. And as King Khan turns 50, we at CNBC TV 18 wish him a very happy birthday and many more years of superstardom.
And on his 50th birthday, Shah Rukh Khan agreed at a Twitter town hall that intolerance is growing in the country, so he's the latest to throw his weight behind the intolerance debate. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. We have a packed show coming up for you, and in SRK's words, picture abhi baki hai. So let's get straight to it. A dramatic late recovery paired losses and lifted spirits, with the market still managing to end in the red for the sixth straight session. The Nifty was below 8,000 at one point, but then it managed to recoup some of those losses and ended finally at 8,050. The Sensex lost close to 100 points as weak global cues played spoil sport. Mid-caps also falling in tandem with the blue chips, and the mid-cap index lost about 30 points today. Sonia standing by now to wrap up the day's market action for us. Sonia, below 8,000 at one point, and then we saw that recovery. What sparked this late revival?
Well, you know, it started off to be a weak day, so it was quite a volatile day in a sense, because as you rightly pointed out, there was a good revival that we saw in late trade, but it's still the sixth consecutive session of losses that the market saw. So we ended in the red yet again, but flat with a marginal loss today. Now, there were heavyweights like HDFC, L&T and Infosys that were dragging the market in the earlier half of the day, but what really sparked the revival in late trade was the emergence of the banks. We did see PSU banks hold hold up quite a bit, post stable numbers coming in from Indian Bank, OBC, etc. And that really helped the markets in late trade. However, the weak global cues continue to hurt our markets. So today we had the Japanese market, for example, which was down about 400 odd points. But I'm going to quickly take you through a couple of stocks that moved around today. On the losing end, we had heavyweights like HDFC, L&T and Infosys that all closed in the red, as you can see. Bajaj Auto was quite weak on the back of a disappointing set of October sales numbers. And two other pockets, metals and pharma, that were weak today. So you had Hindalco, Tata Steel, Vedanta, Sun Pharma, Lupin, Cipla that all reported losses of anywhere between 2 to 3 odd %. But on the flip side, as I mentioned, it was the banks that really powered ahead in late trade. So you had Yes Bank, Bank of Baroda, PNB that all did quite well. Autos had a good showing today, barring Bajaj Auto. So you had M&M, Tata Motors and Maruti that all reported good October sales numbers and gained about 1 to 2 odd %. Cement also did well. So ACC, Ambuja and Ultratech were all in the green today. But let's talk a little bit about the mid-caps. The Coffee Day listing, what a debacle that was. In fact, we did see a loss of almost about 16 odd % or 17% for Coffee Day. IOB was down almost about 12 odd %, posted disappointing numbers as well. And a couple of other stocks like Ashok Leyland also came in for profit taking today. Back to you.
In fact, we'll get to Coffee Day's listing in just a bit, but thanks, Sonia, for joining us with that analysis. Here's the big market voice of the day. Brace yourselves for a more slow-down market. That's the word coming in from Vallabh Bhansali of Inam Securities. Vallabh Bhansali still believes that equities is the place to put your money, and 2016 is going to be a crunch year. Listeners.
India, I think, kind of will stay steady. It will, of course, be affected in the short term. But 2016, I mean, there are many pointers to 2016 being a crunch year. When so much liquidity has got created, the stock markets they have not been rising strongly in the last 6 months or a year or maybe even a year. You've seen new peaks, but then the new peaks give way or just hold.
Well, short-term pain, but equity is the place to be. That's Vallabh Bhansali. Now, it wasn't a great day for a new listing with the Nifty breaking below 8,100. Cafe Coffee Day's debut on Dalal Street turned out to be a damp squib, with the scrip closing 17% below the issue price on day one. This may not augur well for the mega Indigo listing on the 10th of this month. Purnima Murli and Priya Sheth have more.
3, 2, 1.
It wasn't a piping hot debut for Coffee Day Enterprises, the parent of the retail coffee chain Cafe Coffee Day. The stock, which listed at 317 rupees on the bourses, slipped further in day's trade, closing at 271 rupees. That's a nearly 17% discount to the issue price of 328 rupees. Concerns over profitability and lofty valuations have clearly weighed on market sentiment, but the company is confident that profitability is only a few months away.
Coffee Day Enterprises will be profitable this year. And all the money, whatever we are raised in IPO, has got half the money has gone to reduce the debt. Our debt is only 625 crore in the IPO, our parent company now. And retail coffee business with infusion of almost 400 crore rupees, 415 crore, debt will be almost zero. So we will be profitable this year in Coffee Day Enterprises.
With strong competition from global players like Starbucks, the focus for the company going forward will be to grow its bread and butter coffee business.
Next 5 years, we are not going to put any money, whatever we are raised from IPO, to grow non-coffee retail business. So all the money what we are going to put will be going for a coffee retail business. And other businesses are growing on their own phase. They don't need any capital from the parent company. So as of now, I don't have any plans to sell any of the investments.
To achieve a growth of 15 to 18%, the company plans to open 135 stores every year for the next 3 years and maintain same-store sales at 6% for the full year. With Purnima Murli in Bengaluru, in Mumbai, Priya Sheth.
And Indigo is going to list on the 10th, and it has fixed the price at the upper end of the price band, 765 rupees a share. And here's the big macroeconomic data of the day. India's 8 core sectors have grown by 3.2% in September, but it's not like it's been an all-round performance, with the cement and steel industries continuing to lag behind, while power and fertilizer has seen double-digit growth. Lata Venkatesh now joining us with a complete breakup of the numbers that were released. Lata, how should one look at these numbers? Would you say they're good or bad?
Well, it optically looks good at the top line level because July was 1.1% growth, August was 2.6% growth, and September at 3.2 looks optically good. But this is largely a base effect impact. If you break it down sectorally, then it's only electricity and fertilizer that have done well with the 10.8 and an 18.1%. I'll come to that in a bit. Look at the others. Coal, which has been for the past several months doing 6-7%, has only turned in a 1.9%. And then you have refinery products, which have actually just grown about 0.5%, and natural gas by 0.9%. Those are the growth numbers. And then there are the contracting segments. Steel and cement have fallen, contracted by 1.5% and 2.5%. That's not really very good news. Let me come to fertilizers and electricity. Those two elements have got this 10 and 18% only because of a very poor base effect. You can still take fertilizer in your stride because it's 18%, and as well it's been doing reasonably well in the past 2 or 3 months. But electricity has actually been rendering a dismal performance of 1.5% and sometimes even a contraction in the past few months. It used to grow in double digits systematically all through 2014, except for the month of September when it fell in 2014. So it's only because of that low base of September that this electricity number looks like 10.8. We will really have to wait and see. If October is able to come anywhere near a high single digit or a double digit, then you may say electricity has turned the corner. At the moment, I'm pretty unimpressed by the core sector numbers.
All right, that's the core sector data for you. But India's manufacturing growth has slowed down to its lowest level in 22 months. For October, the Nikkei Purchasing Managers Index has fallen to 50.7 against 51.2 for the month of September. So the good news is that any reading above 50 indicates growth. Anything below that is contraction. The slump is mainly due to a slowdown in new orders, which now stand at 51.2. New export orders have grown faster, but the pace is on the modest side. And staying with data, India's auto industry is still searching for traction. October has thrown up a mixed sales picture. Farah joins us now with the analysis. Farah, good for some and not so good for others.
Well, that's absolutely right, Shireen. So some of the good numbers that have come our way, starting with market leader Maruti Suzuki, with total sales up 29% on a year-on-year basis at 1.34 lakh units, and domestic sales up 24.7% on a year-on-year basis. There's been a big boost in compact car sales segment, with the staple models such as the Ritz, Swift, Desire, as well as the Celerio doing very, very well, as well as new launches such as the Baleno doing very well. M&M, the stock rose in morning trade today, up 4% with auto sales returning to double-digit growth after more than 15 months. Total auto sales were up 20% on a year-on-year basis, and this is largely thanks to the good response that the TUV 300, the latest offering from M&M, has received. The CV sales were up 31% on a year-on-year basis. The only downer were tractor sales, which fell 12% due to weak monsoons. Eicher Motors also has done very well, with Royal Enfield growing 73% in October sales, coming in at 44,522 units, and total commercial vehicle sales were up 29% on a year-on-year basis. Tata Motors also had a good October sales season, with total sales up 1% on a year-on-year basis, while passenger vehicle sales were up 11%, primarily driven by the car segment, which again was driven primarily by new launches such as the Zest. In the CV segment, MHCV sales continue to shine, growing by 20%, but LCVs continue to decline, the downside being about 19%. TVS Motors also saw a good set of numbers. Domestic two-wheeler sales up 13% on a year-on-year basis, while scooters grew 30%, motorcycles grew 17% on a year-on-year basis. Average set of numbers coming in from Ashok Leyland. Numbers were decent but were weaker than estimated. Total sales up 17% year-on-year, while MHCV sales were up 22%, LCV sales rose 4%. However, the biggest dampener came from Bajaj Auto, and the stock tanked 5% in trade today. Total sales down 9% on a year-on-year basis, and domestic sales slipped 1.3%. The exports, which contribute 50% to total sales, were down 19%, coming at 1.27 lakh units. The management said weak sales in Nepal has, in fact, marred the export picture, and they've forecast the November sales to be largely in line with that of October. Also, Escorts, the company that makes tractors, saw total sales down 31% on a year-on-year basis, coming in at 5,862 units. The only numbers that we're now waiting for is that of Hero MotoCorp. With that, it's back to you.
All right, Parag, thanks very much for wrapping up the auto sales data for you. But we told you first in June, and now it is official. Reliance Communication has signed an agreement to acquire Systema Sham Teleservices via a share swap deal, making it the first merger in the telecom space since the new M&A guidelines came into play. Kritika Saxena reports the merger has created India's fourth largest telecom operator.
After months of trying, the call has finally connected. Reliance Communications has signed a deal to merge MTS with itself in a cashless all-stock deal. The merger, which is expected to be completed in 6 months, will create India's fourth largest telecom operator in India with 120 million subscribers and access to 148.75 megahertz of spectrum in the 850 megahertz spectrum band pan-India. Post-merger, SSTL will hold 10% stake in the merged entity, and RCom will hold a controlling stake, with the promoters holding 52 to 54%. RCom gets about 9 million subscribers of SSTL, 1,500 crore rupees of annualized revenue, and 3.75 megahertz of spectrum in 850 megahertz spectrum band across Delhi, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, UP West, Kolkata, West Bengal, and Rajasthan. All circles that are valid till 2033 except Rajasthan, which is valid till 2018. So, the merger will not only extend the validity of RCom spectrum by 12 years in SSTL circles, but also bring in almost 15,000 crore rupees of cost savings, as both RCom and SSTL run parallel CDMA operations in 8 markets. SSTL will pay off its 3,800 crore rupee debt, and RCom will pay SSTL 392 crore rupee annual liability to the Department of Telecom for 10 years. Now, there are still many areas that are not confirmed yet. For instance, the swap ratio, we understand it could be 1:11, but still not clear. Over and above that, we don't know what will happen to the employees. Management may be absorbed. No clarity what happens to the others. The 38,000 crore rupee plus debt that RCom is sitting on, no clarity what happens to that, if that will be diluted, if there will be any kind of liquidation exercise. And more importantly, the regulatory fee, which is likely to be about $500 million, it's very unclear if they will have to pay the regulatory fee, which is essentially the difference between the market value of SSTL spectrum and how much they are paying. So, lot of uncertainties as far as this deal is concerned. No confirmation coming in from the management. But yes, if you look at the overall chunk, this has created the fourth largest telecom operator. We need the fine print, but all in all, this will pave the way for consolidation in the telecom space.
So it's the first consolidation that is taking place in the telecom sector. Good news at last for the Indian banking sector. Global rating agency Moody's today upgraded the outlook on India's banks to stable from the negative rating assigned in November 2011. The upgrade comes as Moody's sees an improvement in the country's financial operating environment, which is likely to lead to a slowdown in formation of bad loans. CNBC TV 18's Ritu Singh gets you the story.
It's the first big reassuring market view in the Indian banking system in several years. Global credit rating agency Moody's has raised its outlook on Indian banks to stable from negative, citing an improving operating environment. The agency says Indian banks are in a much better position than they were 4 years ago.
The pace of addition to impaired loans, we think, will meaningfully come down over the next 2 years. If I again take back the 120,000 crore number that the 11 rated public sector bank recognized as net new impaired loans in FY15, as compared to that number, we think the number for this year will be closer to around 80,000 crores. That's a meaningful decline.
While the lower pace of formation of impaired loans is a positive, Moody's says a 7.5% GDP growth this year, coupled with RBI's accommodative monetary policy stance, will aid banks' growth. The rating agency sees the 70,000 crore capital infusion into the public sector banks as a credit positive step, but feels that the amount is not sufficient. The key to recovery, therefore, will lie in the ability of the state-run banks to raise capital from the markets. Moody's cites the power sector as the biggest risk to the Indian banking system.
There are still pockets of under-recognition, and the two key pockets are basically the steel sector and the power sector. It is because of this issue that we believe that the sort of new impaired loan formation even in FY16 will be around close to 80,000 crores. Now that's not a small number.
Moody's expects asset quality recovery to be U-shaped rather than V-shaped as corporate balance sheets remain highly leveraged. It says PSU banks' impaired loans will rise by 2% to touch 14% by the end of FY16. Provisions are expected to remain high in the near term, which means public sector banks' profitability will remain under pressure over the next few quarters. In Mumbai, Ritu Singh.
Well, now the big political story this evening, warning bells for the BJP ahead of the Bihar election result. The party has been routed in the civic polls at the Prime Minister's constituency in Varanasi. The party has lost 50 of the total 58 seats in the Panchayat polls in the city, and the picture is no better in other constituencies, including that of the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh in Lucknow. It's actually not just the BJP who's had a poor showing, but even Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's constituency Amethi, or in the Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav's constituency, all the prominent parties have been shown the door by voters. So not looking good there as far as the Panchayat elections are concerned for the major parties.
And Shireen, what makes matters worse for the BJP in Maharashtra is the fact that its oldest ally, the Shiv Sena, has managed to emerge as the most successful party in the Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation. All this definitely doesn't augur well for the ruling party in the centre, especially since it's the Prime Minister Narendra Modi who's been campaigning extensively in Bihar, all in an attempt to beat the JDU-RJD grand alliance that we have been seeing. In fact, Shireen, let's talk a little more about Bihar.
Well, absolutely. The focus is clearly on Bihar, where the BJP, led by the Prime Minister, is trying to dismantle Nitish Kumar from the Chief Minister's position. And with polling left only in one of the 5 phases, no party is willing to leave any stone unturned in their bid to woo voters, be it Narendra Modi, who targeted the Congress on the 1984 Sikh riots, or the Lalu Nitish Mahagathbandhan, blaming them for some of the communal tensions that have erupted in the state, or the Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi targeting the Prime Minister, raising questions over the promised Achhe Din, and giving Gandhi company over his Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, who dared the Prime Minister to come out with a report card of his government's performance over the last 1 year. It's all happening in Bihar.
और मैडम सोनिया जी, अरे आपने तो 35 साल राज किया, 35 साल। आज 2 नवंबर है, 1984 का 2 नवंबर याद करो, 1984 का। इंदिरा गांधी जी की हत्या के दूसरा दिन, तीसरा दिन, चौथा दिन दिल्ली में, हिंदुस्तान में सिखों का कत्ले आम चल रहा था।
I have to say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi can't lecture about intolerance to anybody. The Gothra is his past. He cannot say a word about intolerance because he is an example of intolerance. That is what happened in Gothra. But what happened is in Delhi was beyond the control of everybody. But he himself was engineering the problem. He himself was organizing or controlling all the trouble in Gothra. That is known to all.
जाबाज पुलिस अधिकारी महिला थी। ये आतंकवादी गतिविधि करने वाले लोगों के तार ढूंढने की कोशिश की। यही महास्वार्थ बंधन के नेताओं के निकट के साथी, निकट के नेता, उनके घर तक ये दरभंगा आतंकवाद मॉड्यूल के तार जाने लगे थे।
प्रधानमंत्री जी विकास की बात करते हैं, हिसाब किताब पूछ रहे हैं। अरे हिसाब किताब हम तो हर साल देते रहे, अभी अपने पूरे कार्यकाल का हिसाब किताब दे के चुनाव मैदान में आने के पहले दे दिया है। आप न दीजिए 17 महीना का हिसाब, सर आप 5 साल पर हिसाब देंगे। अरे 5 साल के बाद तो लोग आपको रिजेक्ट कर देंगे। हिसाब देने से क्या, हिसाब किताब का क्या मतलब?
That's the war of words we saw earlier in the day today. Young voters between the age of 18 to 30 years form 30% of Bihar's 66 million voter base. Archana Shukla travels across several districts and finds out that beyond all this noise of caste and politics, the biggest issue on the mind of the young Bihari voter is job creation in the state.
Poll fever in full swing, and absorbing the essence of Bihar during this season, we headed to village Surgapur in district Vaishali. Here we met 25-year-old Sujit Kumar, a student who is appearing for railway exams and is hopeful that increased reservations for his Yadav community will boost his employment prospects.
लेकिन इसमें और थोड़ा छूट दे दें तो अच्छी बात है।
तो इस बार जब आप वोट करेंगे तो आपके मन में वो रहेगा, वो बात, वो मुद्दा रहेगा वोट करने के लिए?
हाँ, मुद्दा तो रहेगा मैम, लेकिन सरकार को होता है ना क्या, जो बोलते हैं वो करते नहीं है।
Surgapur houses the Yadav's community, a strong RJD vote bank. While older voters have remained loyal,
हम लोग का आशा है कि लालू जी आरक्षण दिलाएंगे।
Voices of change can be heard among young voters.
जो हम लोग का भला काम करेंगे उसी का वोट देंगे। हम लोग का जॉब चाहिए, पार्टी पॉलिटिक्स से कोई मायने नहीं रखता है।
The change stems from the fact that job creation is the biggest issue that preoccupies young Bihari minds. Data compiled by India Spend shows that unemployment in the 19 to 30-year age group, that is the youth, is much higher in Bihar at 17.5% as compared to the national average of 13%. Slow agricultural growth and lack of any major industrial development has shrunk job opportunities. Bihar's electorate also includes 3 million first-time voters. And when we met some of them at political rallies, local job creation emerged as the clear top priority. We found that the Prime Minister's speech was finding a connect in several quarters.
आपको नरेंद्र मोदी के भाषण में क्या लगा कि आपका जिंदगी उससे बदलेगा?
मेरा जिंदगी उससे बदलेगा, हमको बाहर नहीं जाना पड़ेगा और मेरे भाई बहन को यहीं पे पढ़ने का मौका मिलेगा।
मोदी के भाषण सुनने के बाद आपको क्या लगता है? आप संतुष्ट हैं?
बहुत संतुष्ट है, मोदी पे पूरा भरोसा है, विकास होगा।
However, not everyone shared the optimism.
रोजगार के लिए हम लोग वोट देंगे। लोकसभा में बीजेपी की सरकार है और ऐसे भी उन्होंने कोई रोजगार नहीं दिया है। ऐसे भी उनको स्टेट में भी बहुत ऐसे जगह उनकी सरकार है, वहाँ पे कोई काम नहीं हुआ है। वही महंगाई, वही सब कुछ है, लेकिन बिहार में हम लोग परिवर्तन चाहते हैं, हम लोग नीतीश को चाहते हैं।
According to statistics, the BJP emerged as the biggest beneficiary of the youth vote, cutting across economic classes in the 2014 general elections. The party is hoping for a repeat of that performance as it tries to woo this demography in Bihar. But with Nitish Kumar also wielding the good governance and development card, the fight is certain to go down to the wire. With camera person Bharat Kori, in Bihar, Archana Shukla.
Which way will Bihar vote? Well, tune into CNBC TV 18 fifth evening. We bring you the exit poll, and that should reveal what we can expect on the big day. That's the 8th of November, Sunday, when the results will be announced. Now, Brij Mohanlal Munjal, the family patriarch and the man who built one of the world's largest two-wheeler companies, Hero Motorcorp, died on Sunday evening. CNBC TV 18's Ronojoy Banerjee looks back at the life of one of India's iconic leaders and his contribution to the cause of affordable mobility.
It is ironical, but the most fitting tributes to Brij Mohanlal Munjal came not from his immediate family or friends, but from two of his fiercest rivals, Rahul Bajaj and Venu Srinivasan. While Bajaj, who has known him for 45 years, called the late Munjal his guru, Srinivasan, who first met him in 1980, told CNBC TV 18 he owed the attributes of spirituality, humaneness and generosity to the Hero Group patriarch. The tributes from Bajaj and Srinivasan are significant, since the rivalry between the three is perhaps the most storied aspect in India's automotive history. In the 1980s, when Indira Gandhi government for the first time allowed Indian manufacturers to collaborate with foreign OEMs, all three struck alliances with Japanese OEMs, Bajaj with Kawasaki and TVS with Suzuki. But Hero's joint venture with Honda, dating back to 1984, was by far the most successful, even though the company only had the experience of making mopeds. Though Munjal originally never wanted to produce motorcycles, seeing the Indian market primarily for scooters, and Honda already had an existing scooter alliance with Force Motors, he still took the bet. His business associates say that his biggest coup was to strenuously build a brand around fuel-efficient motorcycles for the price-conscious customers with the unforgettable Fill It, Shut It, Forget It campaign. His deft handling of the restructuring of the family business is among his biggest personal achievements. Though he gave up the role of chairman to his son Pawan Munjal last year, his wisdom will be missed, especially when Hero MotoCorp enters another phase of reinvention, this time to take brand Hero global. In New Delhi, Ranajay Banerjee.
Well, the end of an era. They're coming up next on India Business Hour. Plus, the mystery deepens over the crash of the Russian jet in Egypt. A special report when we return.
We think that the focus on Make in India has really captured imaginations of defense companies, especially ours, to do more here.
India is the most exciting market for Boeing outside the United States, says the country head Pratyush Kumar. Exclusive conversation when we return.